Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. These fields look peaceful now, quiet, open, almost gentle. But in July of 1863, they were the center of the largest battle ever fought on American soil. Two armies, nearly 160,000 men combined, faced each other across these same ridges and valleys. The Union held the high ground, Cemetery Ridge, Culp's Hill, and the Round Tops, while the Confederates approached from the west and north. What looks like a simple rise in the terrain becomes, in battle, the difference between life and death. Elevation meant visibility, fields of fire, and the ability to anchor a defensive line. Anyone who has ever shot at any distance at any gun range knows how much terrain matters. But even then, it's hard to grasp what these soldiers faced. The distance between these ridges are far greater than most people can imagine. What we call long range today doesn't compare to open field engagements here, where men fired across hundreds of yards with black powder rifles, iron sights, smoke so thick it could blot out the sun. Solid shot was there were several types of ammunition used here, each designed for a specific purpose. The iron ball, essentially a flying cannonball, it was used to smash through formations, break up fences, ricochet across open ground. At long range, it acted like a giant musket ball. At close range, it could tear through entire ranks. The shells that were hollow, iron sphere filled with powder and fitted with timed fuses. When it burst, fragments sprayed outward. Shells were used to disrupt troops behind cover or to target artillery positions. Case shot, sometimes called shrapnel after its inventor Henry Shrapnel, was a thin-walled shell jacket with musket balls and small bursting charges. When the fuses ignited, it scattered dozens of projectiles in a forward cone. It was devastating against infantry in the open. The canister was the most feared round in the battlefield, a tin can filled with iron balls, essentially a giant shotgun shell. Some cannons loading 2 cans at one time. At the point the cannon wasn't an artillery piece anymore. It was a last-ditch defensive weapon. As you move through the virtual tour, you keep coming back to the land itself. Gettysburg is not a story of abstract strategy or romanticized heroism. It's a story of ground, ridges, slopes, and stone walls, wheat fields, orchards, and rocky outcrops. Every inch of this place mattered. Little Round Top, which you saw at the beginning, was a key anchor of the Union line. If it had fallen, the entire position could have collapsed. The wheat field changed hands multiple times in a single afternoon. The peach orchard became a killing ground. Culp's Hill saw some of the fiercest close-quarter fightings of the entire war. These were not distant skirmishes. These were men fighting at ranges we can barely comprehend. The rifles carried by the soldiers were just as varied. Gettysburg was a transitional moment in firearms history. Smooth bores were disappearing, rifled muskets were becoming standard, and repeating rifles were just beginning to appear. The Springfield Model 1861 was the most common Union rifle, a .58 caliber rifled musket, firing the mini ball. It was accurate to several hundred yards in the hands of trained soldiers. Enfield Patterson, 1853, a .577 caliber rifled musket imported from Britain, was widely used by both sides. The Lorenz rifle, an Austrian import, was used heavily by the Confederate troops. Quality varied, but it was still a rifled weapon and far superior to old smooth bores. The Sharps rifle, a breechloader used by the Union sharpshooters, was faster to load, more accurate, and capable of sustained fire without fouling problems of muzzle loaders. The Spencer repeating rifle was a true game changer. The 7-shot lever-action repeater was used by some Union cavalry units, the Henry. While not common enough to change the outcome of the battle, it gave the men who carried it tremendous advantage in the rate of fire. These rifles were not precision instruments, by modern standards, but they were deadly within the ranges these armies fought. And when tens of thousands of men fired them simultaneously, the smoke and the noise and the confusion were beyond anything we can recreate today. And on a little side tour, this is Dwight D. Eisenhower's house. He did live in Gettysburg after his presidency. You can see the front of the house and the where the security gates would have been. And if you look behind the house, you could see the walkway where the five-star general walked himself. And off to the right there, you can see the greens, the putting greens. He used to golf a lot. I didn't get a picture of the flag, but it's a five-star general flag, and the presidential flag. And you can see at the back porch here, there is a placemat or a foot mat that said First Lady. As we return to the battlefields and look at the monuments and the roads where so many people fought so many years ago, the lonely cannons, the killing fields, the monuments, a sort of an eerie quiet over the entire village of Gettysburg. One can't take these roads and walk these paths and not feel a reverence for the sacrifices that were laid out on these in these hills and these valleys, and from both sides. So this is the tour of the Gettysburg Museum and Monument, and I hope you enjoyed it. This is C.A. Reed for C.A. Reed. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again next week.